Mbilinyi, it's a pleasure, of course, again having you in the studio. What about you? Your country is about to celebrate 50 years of independence. What are your feelings about that?
Well, like probably all Tanzanians around the world, home or abroad, I'm also celebrating. It's a big year for me as well as a Tanzanian in the diaspora. And for me, really, especially having learned about all the political governments around the world, the fact that we are so stable when others around us are not is a really big accomplishment. And I'm very proud of our country, and I'm very proud of our people as well. You both, of course, emphasize the major accomplishments. What about perhaps some major disappointments? Are there certain things that you have remorse about as far as Tanzania is concerned? You know, like any country in the world, there are some challenges we still have. There are some areas we're still working on, including some areas of infrastructure. However, if you consider how many years we were colonized and how young 50 years is, 50 years is a long time, it's a golden year. But if you think about it as a country, it's very young and change takes time. And so I think the accomplishments that we've had definitely downtrod the challenges that I know we're all working on. In the report that we both watched, there is somewhere where it talks about Tanzania, yes, it may have opened some political space, but clearly it pretty much remains like a one-party state. Do you agree that, in fact, Tanzania, as we look at it today, perhaps there is no really difference between the ruling party and the state as it were, that the two are fused? Actually, I disagree, although I can understand where that perspective is coming from. Again, change takes time, and we did have one party for many, many years, as we had one president for many, many years. And so putting that into perspective, even though the president is from that party of CCM, there's actually, in the last election, we've seen a really big surge of parliament members who are from other parties and not CCM. So I think that's beginning to shift a little bit. And definitely you're seeing younger people voting, and you're hearing more excitement for not only different parties, but even within CCM, we're starting to see different changes within the Chama Mapinduzi party as well. Chama Mapinduzi party, indeed. I'm sure that you are aware of the fact that there are some people who cynically look at it as chukua chako mapema, meaning get a piece of the action, cut and run. What does that mean? There's always, you know, just like in this country, in the US, there's always going to be different perspectives and opinions and views. Is it a reflection perhaps on people's perceptions about corruption? Perhaps, and you know, that's the other beauty of Tanzania, I would say, which kind of goes along with the political stability, is the fact that from the very beginning up until now, we have been able to voice our opinions. We do have free speech, and people are able to express their opinions, including in the area of women's empowerment, which is an area of passion to my heart. My mother happens to be one of the women in Tanzania from the 60s who've been part of the feminist movement, and they have been on the streets demonstrating, voicing their opinions about women's rights, and they have been able to do though in a peaceful way back from the 60s, which is a really major accomplishment, particularly for an African country, and in many ways surprises those in the Western world. Talk to us a bit about your organization, the Tanzanian Diaspora. To what extent, for example, have you been interacting with the government back home, and to what extent has it in fact been positive, responding to some of your demands or requests or whatever? Yeah, so the Diaspora Council of Tanzanians in America, we are 3 years young. We became incorporated in early 2009, and we're having our third convention right now. We're a nonpartisan organization, and we really are sort of like a twofold purpose organization, and we see ourselves like a bridge between the United States and Tanzania. On the one hand, what we're trying to do is mobilize ourselves in the U.S.
trying to build that unity that the minister was talking about right now amongst ourselves here in America, unionize ourselves a little bit more, and also build our capacity to organize and in turn to contribute to Tanzanians' economic development, philanthropic, educational opportunities as well. And in doing that, we have been working with the government as well as the embassy of Tanzania in America in doing that. And some of the examples have been, you know, even though we're really young, talking about young, you know, 3 years is like toddlerhood. So we're still learning in the process. But already in 3 years there have been some accomplishments. We've already had our own elections. This year was the first time that we have elected office, myself included. And also Tanzania has been working really closely with us. There's the diaspora desk over there within the Ministry of Foreign Relations, and they have been collaborating with us, including with the conventions, and bringing folks who can tell us a little bit more about, for example, if a diaspora member wants to purchase land or wants to get real estate in Tanzania, which are some of the things where we were a little bit maybe disconnected. We didn't know how we would go about that. They have been forthcoming in supporting us with that information.
In fact, I was going to ask you, what are some of the specific challenges that you are facing as, you know, a diaspora organization?
Well, I would say we're facing some challenges perhaps, but we're looking at them more as opportunities. A major challenge for us, Diaspora Council of Tanzanians in America, is we're all volunteers. We're not paid staff. And so, as you know, living in America, you have your career and you don't have help at home, and you're balancing work and home and going to the grocery store and all of that. And in addition to that, we're volunteering our time. So, you know, we're usually doing what we do on the weekends and the evenings. And so the challenge of volunteerism sometimes might, you know, take a toll perhaps after a while, because we do have our regular day jobs. But we see that as an opportunity. And from that perspective, we have actually gained a lot of members within the diaspora itself, and definitely within the planning committees. For example, for the convention, this convention we've had between the local planners and then the national level planning members, we've had over 30 people you know, helping to plan this convention. And so even though that's been a challenge, we've looked at it as an opportunity, and we've also used that opportunity to kind of mobilize ourselves to get more people involved in the diaspora itself.
Dr. Mbilinyi, about how many people are you in that organization? Can you give us